Welcome. My name is Wanda Rochelle, and I want to welcome you to my channel today. I have my special guest, Ashley, here, and we are talking about how to manage the probate property from another state. Ashley is one of my probate clients, and so I've invited her here to talk about this topic. And so, again, welcome, Ashley. Um,
Hi.
we're we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's see. So, Ashley, her father passed away last year sometime, and he had a house in Georgia. And at the time, Ashley, you were living in what state?
I was in California at the time.
Awesome. You were in California. And so, of course, that was challenging already for a loved one to pass away, but to have to sell an estate from a different state, um, that's even more challenging. So, tell me, how was that for you?
Well, one, it was emotionally draining. Well, it's physically draining for one, because I'm flying. And then it was just the fact of me having to come to Atlanta and deal with all the business. Being the only child didn't really help because it's like all the pressure that didn't
Mhm,
have to be there was there. So that's why I
mhm,
tell for people now, especially black people who are only children, get your affairs in order because it makes things a
mhm.
lot easier at the end. Because there's
Wow.
so many things that were still left unfinished. So including
Mhm.
this probate process and flying back and forth to Atlanta from California. So it was pretty tough.
And like you said, when your dad passed away, you were an only child. So you didn't have siblings to talk to or but I know you did have a support system. You had your mother.
Yeah. Yep. And the
Mhm.
neighbors came through too. I never noticed like the neighbors. They they were tight knit, like a tight knit
Mhm.
family. So they really
Yes.
helped out. It came to time when the nitty gritty came and I couldn't be there.
Mhm. Yeah. How soon after your dad's passing did you start the probate process?
Well, I started taking care of his affairs when my mom and I were going up to visit him. So
Mhm.
that before I even knew what the probate process was, I was taking care of business already. So calling people to see who could take the truck, because he wanted to do that for Wonder Warriors. He wanted to get this done. I had to say, there were so many people like the medical team, all this other stuff. They're calling me. I'm taking care of business on I-75 is coming up. I didn't even know about the rest of the probate stuff until when was that? My dad died September 8th. And then I'll say that Monday, I had to start hitting the ground Monday, running because I only had 2 days. And when I read the will again, that's when I saw her phone number and I tried reaching her and she didn't respond. So I left a message. And then that's when she called and she said, "No, you can't give anything away, this and that and all the other." And I'm
So
thinking to
so back
myself,
up. So
oh,
back up when you're saying reaching her, you're referencing the attorney.
yes, the attorney. That's it, the attorney.
Yes, because your probate was a little different. Even though you like you said you were the only child, the executor was an actual attorney.
Hmm. Hmm.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how was that? That was and for me it was different for me because most of the time when I'm selling someone's house, um, my client is one of the family members. But in this case, my client was the attorney because I didn't actually know you. She hired me to sell the house.
Mhm. Yeah.
Hmm. So was that challenging having to you got this person coming in that you don't know.
Yeah, it was challenging. I think it wasn't so much challenging of getting a realtor picked out, but it's kind of like you want to have a look at who the person is or have a say so or whatever. Because everybody and their mama does real estate in Atlanta, so you don't know who you're going to get. So it's kind of like,
Hmm.
you want to know their credentials and everything like that. And when you don't know anything or you're asking, hey, who is this person? And they're just saying, I already know somebody. It's kind of like, okay, I want to see a little bit, what have they done? You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that was the thing that was kind of, I was unsure at first, but then when you came over, then I felt at ease. But at
good.
first, I'm like,
You're good.
yeah.
And I'm gonna ask you this question. I want you to be honest. So,
Mhm.
well, did she tell you? Did she tell you my name or anything, or she just
No,
said somebody's coming? Okay.
she just told me I already picked out a realtor, but no name, no information, no nothing. And I'm like, so when you came to the house, I'm like, okay, is this an inspection? Because I mean, certain things that happened with my dad's house and everything that he
Right.
left behind, it was kind of like, oh crap, now I got to take care of stuff of the business all over again.
Yeah. And I remember that day that I came. I'm glad you mentioned that because when I came, I realized number one that you had just lost your loved one. That was the most important thing to me. And my assignment was for those of you that are watching was to go to the house to view the home because I don't know the condition of the home so that I could do a CMA where I can determine how much I believe the house would sell for. So that day I arrived, Ashley answered the door. I believe it was you. And your mom gave me a tour of the house so that I could see the condition of the home. So yeah. Hmm. I was going to ask you, did she give you my name? Because I'm gonna be honest with you, if it were me, and tell me the truth, if she had given you my name, would you have like gone to Google or let me see what this lady about. Let me see her
Yeah,
reviews.
because even I have realtors in my family, so it's like, when you've been around a business and when you've been taught, and like my mom has taught me how to take care of business, it's like you always want to check those sources first and see what it is. Like we were saying, there's a realtor on every corner in Georgia, so it's
That's
kind of like, if you don't know the person,
yeah,
that was the difficult part about it.
yeah, I remember. So we already talked about your father left a will and that you didn't know the attorney. Looking back, would you have done anything different with this whole process?
um I I probably would have talked more with my dad, um, about everything about that will. I would have talked to him
Mhm.
about it. Would have asked him what is his purpose of getting an an attorney who really, at looking at everything, who isn't really versed in probate. So I would have asked
Mhm.
him, hey, why are you hiring this person? What's the need of hiring this person? I'm 30, how old when you died at the time? 37? Yeah, I'm 38 now. It's kind of like I'm 37 years old. Had I known about probate myself, I would have taken care of that. And, it would have been a lot, but I think it would have been less trouble with me handling things on my own than what actually wound up occurring in that will. You know,
Mhm.
it
So
was a lot.
let me ask you this. Him do you think maybe his thought process was, Ashley, that he didn't want you to have to handle it because he didn't know what state you would be in
You know what?
emotionally?
No. And I'll say this. Might be a little bit off topic, but it winds up coming full circle with it. I told
Mhm.
I was having issues when he was with the hospital. He had been married the last time, divorced, and emotions come out. And I said, I can guarantee you, I pray that he makes it. But if he doesn't, everything that he has done is going to wind up falling on me at the end. And that's exactly what happened. Everything fell on me at the end. And it was like, even my mom told him, you need to make sure you get this stuff straight, your paperwork, this. And that's what happened. I'm glad everything is turning out, okay to a certain extent, but I still think that there's still some things that haven't been completed.
Mm-hmm. So referencing that, how long did the probate start? Because I believe your probate case is still pending.
Yeah, it started that Monday because when I was calling, I read the will and I looked at the information and I called and left a message and she called back. I said, okay, look, I've already got somebody who's ready to pick up the truck. Like the people were ready to pick up the truck that next day. They said we could get your truck on Saturday. We can pick
Uh-huh.
it up. Where are you? Do you have a tag? This, that, and all the other. They were ready to go. And I was too. I was ready to get everything out of there and done.
Mhm.
So when she said that I couldn't touch anything, she had to file the papers. I had to meet up with her, I think that Monday, and had to pay her like was it quite a return? I don't know if you could say a retainer fee per se, but it was more like the amount that you pay to get the papers filed or something of the sort.
Okay. All right. So probably retainer fee or I don't know to file the petition, but I'm glad you said that because a lot of times, Ashley, people don't realize that when someone passes away, in your mind, like you said, you're like, oh, I need to do this. I need to get rid of this truck. I need to start getting this stuff out of this house. And you can't do anything until the courts give you permission to do it. And
Mm-hmm.
most people don't know that.
No,
Hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. Let's see. So when your dad passed away, did you have any kind of system in place for sorting through his belongings?
No, no. I just knew that when he passed away, I knew that I had until Wednesday when I had to go back to California. I was going to have to do as much as possible.
Hmm.
And it, I had like literally 2 days, and then my job extended it, as long as I needed it. But I had 2 days, and I actually started not the probate process, but the start of getting everything together the very next morning after he passed. So
Wow. You were not playing.
that's what the lady at the funeral home said.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
And
what
that, and
exactly.
and people are different. People are different, Ashley. Some people they can't do anything. You know what I'm saying? They're stuck. But you were not playing.
Yeah, because it was hard. You're being the only child. My mom's a support system, of course, but those papers and all, I had to sign those documents. I had to look at everything. It was like when you're somebody's only next of kin, you let like I said before, if he passes, everything is going to fall on me at the end of the day, and that's what's been going on. So
Mhm.
that Saturday when a funeral home called me because they needed information for the death certificate. After that, it was going back and forth. And the lady even asked me, she said, when are you going to breathe? I said, when this is over. And, but I was on autopilot. I've been on autopilot for the last couple of months now, just getting things done. So
Mhm.
you don't,
Awesome.
you don't find out all the extra stuff that people leave behind until they die. So
Mhm.
that's like bills and
What do you
all
what
kinds of
do
stuff
you
to pay.
what do you mean extra stuff? What's an example?
Extra bills that they didn't pay, um, may have been credit cards or any other type of, my dad was a vet, so and he was retired from the post office. So
Mm-hmm.
when it came to the retirement for the post office, when it came to all these other things, when you have to call other people, it's just a lot of things were left behind. I didn't know that my dad had the cable bill that was due or whatever, that he hadn't been paying the cable bill for a number of months. I'm like, you telling
Mm-hmm.
me 800 and something dollars effort? No, no, that's not helping. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think at that
Yeah.
time too, he was sick. So he probably
Right.
wasn't really focusing on that stuff. But it's
Right.
still like, had you asked for help, I could have been like, okay, I'll help you pay this bill out of the account. I'll help you do this. I'll help you do that. But you don't, you can't get help unless you ask for it. So
And
that's
I'm so glad you said. I'm so glad you said that, Ashley, because elderly people don't necessarily ask for help, like you just said. But I believe now, and no, not to say that you should have done this, but I think that
Mhm.
we don't understand that sometimes we should probably reach out to our loved ones and find
Mhm.
out, hey, are you okay? What's going on? Is it something I can help you with? You know what I'm saying? Not to say
Um,
that you should have done it, but I'm just speaking in general because I see that a lot. In your case, I remember times when I would talk to you that you had your dad's phone. So
mhm.
because you had access to his phone, you probably had access to some things that other people didn't have access to because you might have had, especially with like the utility bills, if they come to our emails, then and the person doesn't have the password, they don't know how to get the bill. But
Oh my
you,
God.
because right. So you had his phone. So a lot of that you were able to, you had the advantage. So I'm saying that to say, I think we need to be in a position where, if we know we have a loved one, especially if they live alone, we need to be reaching
Mhm.
out to them, finding out, who do you owe, maybe have them write out a list. What is your password for whatever company? Because if not, you lost when they pass away.
Yeah, he actually he made me a folder of like important papers and certain things that were
Mhm.
in there that needed to be done. Certain creditors, but like certain little things I paid off. It was just like with the account because he had put my name on his account, so we have a joint account. So I was paying some stuff off with that, like Scanner Energy. Attention, Atlanta, please don't get Scanner. Oh my God.
What do you have against Scanner Energy?
It's like, if you're not, I'll say this, and this is what I learned like recently within the past couple of months. If you're not there to check on that property, that you don't even realize that the heat could have been turned on. Different things could have been turned
Mhm.
on. Because I know that when we all left, including the Lamars and everything was that, and my mom left, I'm thinking to myself, okay, the bill is like 70 something dollars or whatever. And then I see a bill over $1,000. I'm like, wait, I can't be there to even check on the heat or,
Mhm.
that's what made me really out. I hate to say really angry, but it made me feel as if I wasn't in control of what could have been in control. I don't like other people having
Mhm.
control because when I'm used to taking
Mhm.
care of my business, I'm boom, 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 boom. If you're going over the rainbow and coming back, I don't like that. Things should be,
Mhm.
and everybody's not me. But had I been able
Mhm.
to check on that, or it made me angry because I'm like, if you are the probate person, you should be checking on these things. A couple of times,
Mhm.
to be honest, it's been thrown in my face like, okay, I'm the executor. Okay, so I need you to execute and make sure these things aren't wrong, or either let me know or pick up the mail on time, because there have been so many things I didn't even know that I had a bill that was over $1,000 until I checked my
Mhm.
email. and I saw it, and I'm like, wait a minute, this bill was over $1,200 for scanner. And I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
called them and I said, what's going on? She said, well, when it's cold. I'm like, it ain't gotta be that cold. $1,200 ain't cold to me. So that's
Yeah. So what should have happened? I'm assuming someone should have adjusted the thermostat. Or what do you think should have happened?
I think that the house should have been looked after at a lot better than what it was. Um, Sometimes I feel it's like if it's not in their name, they don't care. And a lot of
Mm,
those bills, like the light bill, I had turned on to my name. I don't know how all of a sudden my bill was skyrocket high when it came to the bill, when the light bill. When it
mhm,
came to scanner, I'm like, okay, this heat might have turned on, but at the same time, it should have been checked to make sure it was off. I don't care how cold to get in the house. Ain't nobody using the water in the house. So,
mhm,
there were certain things that needed to be looked after and it wasn't. And I'm like, I feel as if, okay, my name isn't on this, so I don't have to worry about it. But that's my credit. Like we were talking about me buying a property. That's my credit at the end of
mhm,
the day. I don't like nobody mess with my
mhm.
job or my credit. That's those are two things
Yeah,
that's the biggest
yeah.
effect.
All right, awesome. So, your suggestion is that everyone is watching, especially if it's whether anybody, the executor or anybody, whoever is in authority, should be making sure that the house is checked on. Hmm.
Mhm.
Let me ask you this: why did you choose not to have an estate sale? Is that because you didn't live in the same state?
Um, well, when me and Mr. Lamar had called, there are some companies who are actually doing the estate sale.
Hmm.
We called and he got the price of how much that they would charge to put on the estate sale. And he laughed. He ain't saying no thank you. These people try to charge
Yeah.
over like $900, like $900 to $1,200 to put on an estate sale. But I didn't want to
Hmm.
have one because I'm in California. I felt like I was on crunch time. I couldn't keep coming back and forth with the job. So, you're not the only one who's actually asked me that question. I've had multiple people who've asked me why didn't I want to have one. I said, if I can't be there to help out with it, I just, I didn't want to put that on other people. And like I said, I'm in California. I don't know what's going on. I don't. It's kind of like how I feel right now. I don't like to be left in the dark. It's
Hmm.
not that I wouldn't have trusted a person, but you have to kind of look at their time too, what they're doing. Like you're selling houses, you're trying to get properties moved. There's like a lot of things that were going on. I don't want to put that extra burden on somebody to sit in here and doing an estate sale, you know. And
Hmm. How does
I'm being told that things can't be touched or whatnot. Had it not been for you and everybody, I'm telling you, that house would have never been cleared. And you never realize how much stuff a person has over 20 years of them being in the household until you're clearing it out.
Mhm,
So I
mhm.
never, that part blew my mind as well, of like having to go through this house and see how much stuff a person can have.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you this, I've done a lot of, probate sales, and you think your dad had a lot of stuff? He didn't compare it to some stuff I've seen. Believe it or not, he didn't. So I wanna thank you, Ashley, for joining me, but I do wanna ask you, is it anything else that you wanna share about your experience that'll help somebody else?
Um, I would say to talk to your loved ones about getting their affairs in order. Um,
Mhm,
Not leaving anything behind, because not only, especially if you're the only child, is really hard. I think a lot of people can say, "Yeah, I understand," but unless you're an only child, you really don't understand how the pressure is, and it can take a toll. It could take a toll on your health. It's taking a toll on my health, honestly, to be quite frank. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it just has, and I'm trying to get to that point where it isn't, but it's still like once things are done, that's when I'll be able to breathe again because it's just, I mean, it's hard to explain. But if you don't get your affairs in order, it's gonna be a hard time after that. It really is. And
So,
make sure
so
you
let me
clear
ask
out your
you
house.
this. Right, declutter. So let me ask you this because you were on go as soon as your dad passed away. Like you said, the lady at the funeral home asked, "When are you gonna slow down?" And you said, "When you get the stuff done." Did you give yourself time to grieve?
Um, I don't, in a sense, I don't think so. But the thing that made it a little bit easier was the fact that we didn't have that tight of a relationship. I think when some people have
Mm,
a real tight relationship with their dads, I was like two of my friends, their dads passed away and let like within a month of mine passing. So they
mm-hmm.
were really close to their fathers. But to me, I wasn't. So it actually made it a little bit, not saying it's a great thing, but
Right.
compared to other
Then.
people who were close to them, it made it easier. It's kind of like they they got a chance to have the things that I didn't have, or didn't get a chance for me to experience that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, uh, in a sense of way, and it might sound a little harsh, I kind of thank God that our relationship wasn't as close because I don't know how easy it would have been for me to take care of everything.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you again for joining me today, Ashley. Um, I pray I pray many blessings to you and your mom. I'm glad I got a chance to meet you, and I still talk to you. I'm saying it only on this video as though I'll never talk to you again, but I still talk to you, of course. So thank you for joining me today, and I appreciate it.
I have one question for you. Um,
Yes.
would you ever recommend a probate process for somebody?
What do you mean regarding the process?
Like say for instance, like you might have families who have a bunch of siblings at the same time. How do you feel?
Hmm.
How do you feel that a probate process of the sort would be easier on a whole entire family as opposed to a will with nobody who is there to kind of like saying, okay, you get this or you do this. It's kind of like, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like you have families who you have plenty of siblings. They're always fussing. They're fighting with each other over a will. But how does
Hmm.
how would a probate, how would a probate, person actually be able to help with that? Or would you actually, in that case, would you prefer the big families getting a probate or an estate lawyer?
So, well, I believe that everyone needs to have their affairs in order. So, what you're saying, as far as probate, you're referencing a will or a trust. So,
Hmm.
that needs to happen for everybody. It doesn't matter how many siblings there are, because the goal is to honor the person's wishes. So what that
Hmm.
means is if there's no will, and I got this piece of paper, if there's no piece of paper, no will to say what's going to happen, and then the person is gone, that's a mess. It's a
Hmm.
mess. It's a mess whether it's one sibling in your case, one child, or it's a mess whether it's multiple children. So there always needs to be something in place, something in writing, whether it be a will or a trust. There always needs to be something, and it needs to be as thorough as possible, because I believe sometimes that people will leave stuff out. In general, too, I'm finding this myself, Ashley. I declutter all the time now. I promise you. In my head, I'm thinking to myself, I don't want to pass away and I don't want my kids to have to come in here and, get rid of all of this stuff. I know just recently I I cleaned out a medicine drawer.
Mm-hmm.
This video will be here forever, but today is July of 2024. I cleaned out a medicine drawer probably a month ago that had medicine in there from 2020, 2018, 2017.
Yeah.
Good, not good. So, but back to answer your question, there needs to be probate for everybody. It doesn't matter how many family members there are. Because if it's not something in writing, then a lot of times when money is involved, people get a little messy. People
Mm-hmm.
mad at each other. Um, it can get ugly. So there should always be something in writing.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think at the end of this, might, I'll say this in a looking at everything. I honestly, yeah, okay, I'll be getting something, but if I did not, if it was going to cause me this, I would have rather have never have been given anything at all. And a lot of people would be like, well, what if he left you something? I would rather not have anything from that person if I did not have, if I knew that I was going to be going through this, don't give me anything.
Mhm,
I would have been fine with not
mhm,
having a house, not having this, not having that. I would have been just fine not getting anything um,
mhm.
from him. And actually, this is going to be on YouTube, but just as I don't know, this is an interesting one. You know, when you said you find a lot of stuff, so there had been there had been past wills, and one of the old wills that I recognized Ashley as my beloved daughter, but she is not to receive anything in this will, as opposed
So
to,
so let me make sure everybody understands what you're saying, that when you search through your father's belongings, there were multiple
mhm,
wills.
mhm,
Mhm.
there were multiple wills,
And one of the wills stated that you were not to receive anything.
but everybody else got something. My cousins and his niece by marriage, they were going to get everything, and I said to myself, maybe that would have been the best thing. It it would have caused less stress, seeing that hurt.
Mhm,
Now that did hurt, but
mhm,
at the end of this, it's a blessing and I'll get something. At the same time, if I knew that I was going to be going through this, I would have been like, I'm okay. I'm okay.
mhm. So
You
so
know.
let me say this to you. I can't speak for your father, but I do know as human beings, I'm just guessing. Like I said, I can't
Mhm.
speak for your father, but maybe when he did that will that you saw that didn't where he didn't include you in anything, um, maybe he was just mad that day. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Maybe he wasn't feeling well. But guess what? Then he redid it and
Mhm.
and added you to the will. So I'm just saying, we human, we get mad. And I'm saying that to say it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt, to
Mhm.
see that, especially when he's passed away and then he's not even here for you to even say anything to him to respond to it.
Mhm.
But guess what? Even in that, that's what I'm saying. There has to be. That's why I asked you, had you grieved? And then I also want to say this, that even in that hurt, you can still heal, even though he's not here. I've heard of people writing a letter to the
Mhm.
person to, express your feelings
Mhm.
of how you feel. And not even that, Ashley, I'm gonna always say this as a woman of God, that the word of God heals us. Because there's a scripture in the Bible that says that God is close to the brokenhearted.
Mhm.
So when our hearts are broken, he's close to us. So I'm saying that to
Mhm.
you to say, I don't know why he did that, but I pray that, God heal your heart. And guess what? I'm glad that the other will stated that you were included, because I think you deserve it. And I wouldn't have met you, so yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. But I'm glad that you that you were my realtor, because I think I've learned more about this process from you than I've learned from the attorney, because I really would have been lost. There's no real communication on that end. So, I mean, I've learned a lot more from you when it comes to this process. So now, if anything else were to happen, God forbid it doesn't, but if anything else were to happen, then I would have more of the knowledge of what to do, you know.
Mm,
So
yeah.
that,
And
yeah.
And I will say this, that I do think that there was times when you had more interaction with me
Mhm.
than the attorney, because I
Mhm.
was at the house, days when you all were, needing to move stuff. I was talking to you because for me to sell the house, I always tell people I can't sell a probate house till it get empty.
Uh-huh.
So guess what my goal was? To help y'all get that house empty as quick as possible. So I'm saying that to say that there was, I think partially that's because we spoke more often than
Mhm.
you spoke to the attorney. So yeah.
Yeah. So it was good having a whole village, because between you, the neighbors across the street, I'm just like, God dang, that house got empty faster than what it ever could have had nobody been there. It was just,
Mhm.
it was a lot. Um, I don't, to me, when you ask if I had time to grieve, it's kind of like, in my situation, I don't know what I really wouldn't know how to grieve. I think I was more angry than ever, because when especially men, they need to go to the doctor more. There could have been things done where he still could have been here today. But like my mom said, she was a hospice nurse for over 20 something years, 30 something years. And she said, you got to realize that people, they have a right the way to live they want to live, and to die the way that they want to die. And
Mm,
that sticks in the back of my mind. And so to me, it's a little hard to figure out how I would grieve. Like, writing a letter is a great idea. It hit me on my birthday. My birthday, it was hard. It was hard on my birthday. um I think that's the hardest day. But that, other than that, or either I'll say I was watching Netflix. There was a show that me and him used to watch, and he came on. They had new episodes, and I was like, dang, I wish I could tell him that game. Or either watching
mhm.
90 Day Fiance. Men always say it's trash TV until they watch 3 episodes, and then they all into it more than we are. So it's just the small things. It's just the little things. But I think the grieving process for me is a little bit easier because we weren't that close. We didn't have that tight of a relationship. So things
Mhm.
work out the way that they're supposed to. I always think things
Yeah,
happen for a reason. Yeah. Things
that's true.
things
I
happen for a
understand. Um, yes. And I'll say this, even my own father, I didn't have a relationship with my father either. And when he passed away, I'm like you, it wasn't hard for me. Yeah. And that's
reason.
real. It's real.
Yeah.
It seemed like a brutal thing to say, but it's true.
Mhm.
It's true.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Some people do say that, but it was just kind of. But I think the funniest thing in the whole entire thing is when I was calling these people, when I got a hold of my dad's phone. A lot of his friends weren't getting called. So
Hmm.
when I'm making these calls and I'm telling them that my dad passed, and they're crying and carrying on over the phone, I'm like, sir, ma'am,
Ashley,
ma'am,
I'm
sir.
trying not to laugh. It's not funny. Oh, Lord.
Oh my God. Every time I'm telling you, for the people who going through this probate, you will be having some laughing times when you telling people that they passed
Oh,
away, because I've never seen so many people go crazy. Oh Lord, I can't believe he's gone. who's the one who's supposed to be grieving? Am I the one who lost somebody, or is he the one who lost somebody? You know, and all of the things that they said about him and different things like that. And they were like, oh, he talked about you all the time. I'm thinking to myself, I didn't hear none of this. Or either he was just like a dad to me. With all those people combined, I wish I had just a tenth of what they received. It was totally different. And my cousin, she did the eulogy. She was a pastor, and she said that and I talked to her about that before, you know, the funeral. And she said he was a lot of different things and different things to a lot of different people. And it's true. It's true. And but like I told her, I said I wish I had an eighth or a tenth of just of what they received, because it kind of makes you feel like, okay, now I'm truly validated of why you know, us not having really like that type of relationship didn't affect me at the end of the day. I think that part right there is what, in a sense, what hurt the most, is that everybody is getting all of this stuff, or other people saying he was just like a dad to me. And I was like, I would like to know how that felt. But, you know, I couldn't be rude, you know. I couldn't be rude to people. You know, you want to.
Right. But guess what? How do I say this? Our empty voids that man didn't feel, God can fill it for us.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Because I tell people all the time, I said, if it wasn't for the village and it wasn't for God, I honestly don't know what I would have done. Because I probably would have been Googling what to do when it comes to this, what papers to file, who to call, or whatever. You know, the internet and YouTube University are some of the best things that you can come across. If you don't know how to do something, you're going to learn how to do it. So, so yeah.
Everything on the internet is not correct, though. So, yeah.
Oh, that's true.
But awesome. I'm so glad we had this interview. And so thank you again, Ashley, for sharing your heart and educating people on your process so that it'll help somebody else. So I thank you again, Ashley.
No problem. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I hope I gave the people a good laugh, because sometimes they need a good laugh for the day. So,
You
yeah.
did. Thank you, everyone, for watching. My name is Wanda Rochelle, and I am a realtor and probate specialist serving Georgia, Florida, and Alabama. And I'll see you on the next video.
Bye.